So now it's time for the moment everybody's been waiting for, where we watch the full lore, Silent Hill 1, and then we will jump in and play Silent Hill F. It is time for Yuki Reacts. Now, they are going to cover some stuff even I don't know, because I haven't read the Silent Hill comics. I haven't read the Silent Hill books, and I really should, and maybe after stream today, I will try to locate those. So there, yeah, be afraid. This is Yuki Boobuki Real Scary Hours. But grab a seat, grab a tea, get a drink, get a blankie, get some snackies, right? Am I hungry? I'm not really hungry. I know there are multiple endings and weird endings, but I never learned about them. In Silent Hill 1, I think that treat? It's Lent. I can't have a treat. No treat. It's not Sunday. You can have treats on Sunday. You're allowed to take a break from Lent on Sundays, so I have to wait till Sunday. Yeah. I can have a snack, though. I have trail mix. I have trail mix. So I can have... It's, savory trail mix. It's Tex-Mex. It's got spicy Cajun peanuts, sesame sticks, salsa corn sticks, chili bits, dry roasted salted pepitas, and roasted almonds. It's really good. So I have a savory snack if I do get hungry. Being spicy, it's actually not spicy. It's not spicy. Don't let it fool you. It's really good. Where was I going? I think there's 2 or 3 endings. Hi CPZ, did you see that I commented to you in the Minecraft server that I redid the whitelist, and I think maybe this time it worked? Maybe the first time I did it I missed an L. I got a berry sipper from Duncan. We don't have Duncan where I am. This is so sad. But I had a vitamin water. That's fun. Ellie, lizard. But yeah, is everybody ready for video time? Has anybody actually seen that movie where the lizard was from? It was a really good movie. I honestly add an L each time. The name was not accepted. Thanks. Brown. It's a good movie. It's a cute movie. It's like it's a Disney Pixar movie because Disney's got monopoly. It's called Bonkers. No, it's Hoppers, not Bonkers. Hoppers. And it's about a girl trying to save this glaive from being turned into a superhighway. And it was really cute. It made me cry. It's very wholesome. Alright. Time to watch something not wholesome, though. This is about cults and stuff. Alright, Chad, let's get
When the English began to colonize North America, the Native Americans would scour the land and establish their territory to make themselves a home. The Native Americans would find themselves a place they called Silent Hill. They believed that the place they inhabited possessed sacred grounds with spiritual power, conducting rituals to seek out this mysterious power from the sacred land. These would see practices such as resurrection, exorcism, healing immortal wounds and diseases, and communication with creatures beyond the plane of existence. Because of this supernatural and spiritual power from the land they inhabited, they deemed Silent Hill the place of silent spirits. However, this peace and prosperity didn't last long, as the English settlers would eventually drive away and exile the natives from their land, stealing and claiming Silent Hill for themselves. Because of the English settlers' ignorance of the sacred land and lack of knowledge of the town's spiritual and supernatural energy, it would result in consequences that the English settlers could not prepare for what was about to come in the years ahead of them. During this time, an inhabitant who resided in the town of Silent Hill, Jennifer Carroll, grew curious and fascinated by the town's spiritual properties that others couldn't see.
So all of these clips are from the comic book and the novels that I have not read, but yes, what he said, which was very fast, was that Silent Hill started when we were pilgrimaging here and moving all of the Indians off of their land, and they settled in a town called Silent Hill. And the Indians said that it had spirits that we were not equipped to handle. If you guys don't know, like, the basic plot of Silent Hill 1 is that there's a cult in the town. They're trying to sacrifice for their fake god thing. Yeah, it's the Indian burial ground. And the last sacrifice that they tried to do failed. And they were trying to redo it, fix it. They didn't. Things got really bad. So apparently it started all with this white woman. That's because white women are bad. And they be sticking their nose in business that is not theirs. I guess no Thanksgiving. Not in Silent Hill. No turkey
This
for you.
compelled her to research and discover much of the town's spiritual power.
Yuki
So much so
women.
that she decided to become
I do
one
be
of the
standing
founding
10
members
toes
and
down.
form
Yeah,
a cult
Pumpkin
called
Spice
the
Hill.
Order. This cult would practice and teach these beliefs they held regarding the town's supernatural and spiritual nature in secret.
Actually, hang on, pause again. On that note, Runes, it was really funny that my clip that did the best most recently was the clip of Alice asking me when I started to hate women and that I was a misogynistic, and I was like, on the day that I was born. And then I just cut the clip there with no context, and it was the clip that blew up recently, and I think that that is very funny. Some people probably do think that is canon now. But, like, also, white women cause a lot of problems because, again, she pumpkin spice latte'd too hard, okay? And she started a whole cult. Okay, she literally went pumpkin spice latte, start a cult. Because the Indians told me that this land has spooky ghosts on it. Okay? Yeah. Karen's running people over with shopping carts. Pumpkin spice white girls starting cults. Yeah. I would go for a spice latte, but not a cult. But white women, they just don't stop. I'm telling you. But yeah, Mother Slayeranda. Honestly, I was talking with Ryan yesterday and I was like, I want to play Resident Evil 8 again. And then I remembered the thing with the baby and then I was like, never mind, I don't want to play Resident Evil 8 again. But like, also, Mother Miranda did slay, okay? It is true. It's just on facts. Lady Dimitrescu did slay. It's just, that was the best part, and it was the shortest part. So mad. Anger in my body filled with rage. Okay, I will video play.
As a means to avoid conflict and direct contact with other religious groups that would hold them trial for practicing and performing witchcraft. Time eventually caught up with Jennifer Carroll, as she would be held trial and burned at the stake due to her reputation for performing witchcraft. While Jennifer's life came to an end, her followers of the cult grew to become fond of her practices and closely studied her teachings. She was hailed as a saint and held as a martyr, immortalized with her own statue in Rosewater Park. In the 17th century, a
Run, guys, don't worry, I will hold off Lady Dimitrescu and her daughters, do not fear. Me falling on the ground, laying flat. Family reunions in Silent Hill must be weird. They would be weird if they could happen. But I can't believe I was like, witchcraft, burn her, and then they were like, and she was burned at the stake. Hi Shay, welcome on in. That's crazy. Okay, so white woman pumpkin spice latte too close to the sun. They found out she was using her cult to cover up the witchcraft she was performing with the freaky spirits, and they actually burned her. And then the city was like, like a martyr, like we make a statue of her now. That's cool.
Mysterious disease grew and spread like wildfire across the town, infecting most of the town's inhabitants, resulting in the town becoming abandoned. 100 years would pass, where time would see a civil war break out, resulting in the town of Silent Hill to partake in it. Subsequently, the town itself resettles into a penal colony and Silent Hill Prison is constructed. In response to a startling new disease, Brookhaven Hospital is constructed to foster and care for inhabitants who suffer from the deadly illness. Eventually, the American Civil War commences, resulting in the residents of Silent Hill fighting in the war. The Civil War...
Okay, wait. Guys, how old are these spooky ghosts? Because it went from, like, pilgrimage, Indians, Civil War, you know, we're building a prison. We're building a prison before we build a town, hospital, right? Like, these hills have been not silent for a really long time. This is still this has to still be the novel part, because we have not even gotten to Silent Hill 1 whatever. This is still the book. So I didn't even know all this either. Talking about setting witches on fire and stuff. Hang on. I'm gonna look at Fox Mom. She's getting ready to go lay down. She's coming through. Good night. Good night, Dad. I love both of you. The original movie, that's not real. I don't look at that. Which actually now, okay, things kind of make sense, because I think they touch on some of this stuff in the movie. I think what they tried to do is that they tried to take the book lore and then somehow make the book lore and the game lore like together in the same. They took too much lore and they slapped it in 1.5 hours or however long the movie is, and that's too much squishing. We needed to pick a thing and just that thing. Which I'm really sad that I didn't get to see the Return to Silent Hill movie yet, but it must have been bad because they stopped showing it in theaters after like 2 days. Couldn't make it. Too whack.
Will lead to the closure of Silent Hill Prison due to the high volume of prisoners of war and the construction of Toluca Prison, housing 2 floors of cell blocks for prisoners on the opposing side of the war. Because of the prior events, such as the onslaught of death that was fostered due to the result of war or the mysterious disease that created an epidemic for the residents of Silent Hill, it's believed that the death that was held from the thoughts of the prisoners and townspeople harbored this dark, negative energy that grew from collective subconscious thoughts that manifested into the town's distortion. The events to follow in the town of Silent Hill.
Wait, so because the prisoners were mistreated, which also I think this is touched on in Silent Hill 4. Now I won't lie, Runes. I didn't like Silent Hill 4. Of all of the ones that I played, which I played 1, 2 remake, 3 remake, 4. I mean 2 HD, 3 HD, and then I did play 2 remake and 4. And I swear that I played Silent Hill 4 on GOG, but I can't find my original GOG account. So like if we want to go back and have me try it again now that I am kind of more conscious of an adult and a little bit more patient. Women, why are we always on opposite sides of the video games? I hate to tell you this, but you got bad taste. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to like Silent Hill 4. I did. And then they put me in an effing subway with a ghost and a dog. And I can't navigate. And it was horrible. But it's been around, like, on the GOG version, because I think it is slightly different. It's been around long enough, it probably has a guide. And people have definitely made videos. So I could navigate it now. Alright? But you got bad at it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, it's not my fault that you picked the worst Resident Evil to say that was your favorite Resident Evil. Everybody hates Resident Evil 0. They took away my item boxes. Okay? It's so hard to juggle 2 characters and like 3 inventory slots and 87 puzzles. Alright? It is hard. Life is hard. Okay? Not everyone. Yeah, just they have a Resident Evil 0 fan club and it's just runes with the I love Billy sign. But everybody loves Billy, so he's right in that corner. He is right in that corner. But it's just runes in the room. So I love Billy sign. And then Runes types in the chat, actually I hate Billy. but I did like Rebecca. And then I'm gonna have to like, that's it, take his flag.
Become dark and ominous, as over the years, people mysteriously go missing, a ship
Side
called the
eye.
Little
Don't
Baroness
say it,
sinking shortly
Bruins.
after it sets sail into Luca Lake, or the mayor of Silent Hill dying suddenly, leading every staff member in the development group to die abruptly.
A ghostly unmanned boat. Wait. So wait, this says like Toluca Lake had a tourist boat called the Little Baroness that mysteriously disappeared. A ghostly unmanned boat was found adrift of the lake. A group of high school students rowing on the lake at the same time went missing. I'm sorry. The lore of Silent Hill is too deep. It's too deep. The mayor of Silent Hill and multiple figures involved in the tourism industry died unexpectedly one after another. Members of a college occult club discovered the Little Baroness drifting on Toluca Lake. Walter Sullivan! Silent Hill 4 mentioned! Which, by the way, yes. I do believe in the Silent Hill 2 remake, they made it a little easier to find a newspaper talking about Walter Sullivan. So wait, this is crazy. We need to have Silent Hill book club.
A father who would go through hell and back to save his daughter in this psychological nightmare through a town desolate of life and silence in its ambience. Harry Mason, a competent, devoted, loving father who would risk his life for those he cares about deeply, journeys into the horrors of the unknown. Before the nightmare, Harry Mason was a run-of-the-mill writer who was in a relationship with his wife, Jody Mason. According to the Silent Hill novelization, Harry met Jody in high school at the beginning of their sophomore year. After Jody broke up with her previous boyfriend, Harry gained the confidence to ask her out, and they eventually both fell in love. Not too long after, they both were newlywed at their wedding and spent a peaceful and loving 9 years together, which was described as a never-ending honeymoon. At the age of 25, Harry and Jody were both traveling on the highway and abruptly stumbled upon a baby on the side of the road. Seeing as there was no one around to watch and take care of this baby, Harry and Jody agreed to adopt the baby themselves and named her Cheryl Mason. And this new beginning for the family only led to tragedy, as shortly after, Jody succumbed to an unknown illness and died suddenly. In this time of grief and loss, Harry would make a promise to his wife to take care of Cheryl and would do so for the next 4 years alone. During these short, peaceful years of Cheryl, Harry would develop a fear of kidnappers, murderers, and child abusers. Due to this, Harry would keep a licensed handgun inside his Jeep's glove compartment for self-defense. Furthermore, Harry would write a novel titled The Criminal's Mask, an analysis of offenders and predators who would go unnoticed in small communities and rural areas under the guise of normal citizens. According to Harry, if guns were to disappear from America, crime would not allowing him to protect his daughter, alluding to Harry having a pessimistic view on humanity due to a troubling past of hardship earlier in his life. When he was 32 years old, Harry was still in deep grief and despair over the loss of his wife. Cheryl, who is now 7 years old.
Yes, but to go, my wife died of an illness. I have a weird paranoia. Does kind of feel weird. I think it would make more sense if he was like, I'm scared that she's gonna get sick. I mean, I know she's not biological, but you're like, what if she got sick? That seems like a weird correlation, unless it was just like overall fear, I guess, of losing Cheryl. Yeah. Well, wait till she finds out she's adopted. You know what I mean? I found you on the... It's literally like... I don't know if any of you have siblings where they're like... Where like... You know, they say something mean and you go, oh, well, yeah, well, we found you under a rock. She was literally found under a rock. Yeah, I found you under a rock. Yeah. Cheryl, he was on the ground. Like, this is actually a true story. Thank you for your daily blessing, Runes and... Runes, no, you revealed that I haven't had any water this whole time. And thank you, Pro. Everyone in chat's like, Yuki, no, we have never said that to a sibling. I'm like, fine, guess it's just me, then. Guess it's just me. But yeah, like, can you imagine being Cheryl and being older and be like, hey, Dad, you know, you and Mom had me and it was real good. And then go, honey, I got something to tell you. You was in a ditch. on the ground. And there was a rock. There was a rock nearby. But like super near, you was under a rock. Yeah. Sorry, I cracked myself up. But okay, so he's paranoid writer goes out of town. Okay, that's a Stephen King movie, actually.
Took notice of this and convinced Harry to take a peaceful family vacation to the town of Silent Hill, a small rural town known for its relaxation and peaceful
Amusement park.
location for tourists to explore its rich history, tourist attractions, historical landmarks, and more.
It is
Upon
Robbie the
driving
Rabbit.
to Silent Hill late at night, Harry and Cheryl would suddenly encounter a teenage girl who appeared in the middle of the highway, which caused Harry to react quickly, swerving off the road to
Hey, wait. So you said that? Oh gosh, now I can't remember the name of the movie. There is a Stephen King movie about, and I can't remember if it's called Mile or if it's called Walking or Walking the Mile or something. But it's about like every year the whole state, United States of Freedom, whole country, the long walk. Yeah, they have to walk till there's only one person left walking, like nonstop, constant. I saw a YouTube video pop up in my feed after I watched that movie with Fox Mom. Where he was like, I walked on a treadmill the whole time I was watching the movie, and I'm like, my leg would fall off because why would you do that? He's like, I also walked the long walk while watching the movie. I think I would die. Well, okay, I would super die now. Sorry, I still have like very healthy. Wait, we might have saw the same thing. Cast. That video was intense. I bet it was. I was too scared to click it. I still have a very healthy brain. My brain hasn't caught up with the fact that I couldn't do that even if I wanted to, which I guess is sad to think. But I said a very healthy brain thought. But that's crazy. Was it a good video, even though it was intense? I'd be one of the people that died like day one, though.
not cause an accident. In doing so, he would drive off the cliff and crash his Jeep Wrangler into the bottom, leaving him unconscious. Upon waking up, Harry finds his Jeep Wrangler crashing to a gate with the passenger door wide open, leaving Cheryl missing. Panicking and worried, Harry ventures into the town of Silent Hill to search for his missing daughter. Shortly after exploring, Harry finds Cheryl walking aimlessly through the fog.
The context! Okay, she doesn't look very kidnapped here, but the context, it all makes sense now. Harry was paranoid. About her getting kidnapped and stuff or whatever. So now the town is trolling him. Oh my gosh. It's all just a giant meme to Silent Hill.
Alone. Left confused, as she runs away from Harry, he follows Cheryl deeper into the heavy fog to rescue his daughter before she disappears once again. Harry follows Cheryl into a linear alleyway to find himself in vast darkness as the world around him goes completely dark and shifts to the other world. Luckily for him, he has a lighter to illuminate the darkness that spreads throughout the alleyway.
Smoker?
Walking cautiously, he finds a lonely wheelchair and a corpse covered in white, bloodied sheets. Venturing further into this dark alleyway, he finds himself at a dead end with a corpse hanging in bloody barbed wire. Left and awestruck,
I don't know.
Harry finds himself cornered by the monsters known as Grey Child, who are equipped with a knife and use it against Harry by stabbing him to death. Moments later, Harry finds himself awakening in Cafe 522, confused and shocked that he's still alive.
Is Harry having a Stephen King
Emerging
moment?
from the corner inside of the cafe, a blonde-haired woman in police attire reveals herself as Sybil Bennett, a tough and strong-willed cop who is calm and reserved in stressful situations, but courageous and determined to meet her task at hand, risking her life for the greater good and a better tomorrow. In the Silent Hill play novel, it's revealed that when Sybil was a little girl, she witnessed her parents' murder at the hands of an unidentified man who shot both her father and mother in the head, killing them immediately. Unbeknownst to the unidentified assailant, Sybil would be hiding in her closet and looking through the closet's slit witnessing this tragedy. Overcome by grief and sorrow, Sybil would be inspired to avenge her parents' deaths by becoming a police officer to help others not go through the same fate that she
That's
went through.
crazy.
Later on in life,
She's
Sybil
Batman.
would be stationed as a police officer in the town of Brams, a small rural area neighboring the town of Silent Hill. On one fateful day, she is sent to investigate Silent Hill after the lack of communication from the precinct and correspondence with the Silent Hill Police Department. Curious, Sybil drives off in her police motorcycle to seek out the mystery of these strange disturbances to discover the truth. On the same night, Sybil is also seen driving off to the town of Silent Hill on her police motorcycle, only to succumb to a similar fate where she crashes on the highway due to the astral projection of 𝑓𝑟𝑒𝑟 catching her off guard, resulting in leaving the motorcycle behind and disappearing. Once formally introducing herself, Harry and Sybil
Are they
get well
both
acquainted
dead?
with each other and talk about how they
You
both
couldn't just
arrived
fall
and
off a
question
cliff
the
and be
mystery
fine.
surrounding the town itself. Harry states he's a tourist
I
visiting
mean,
the
they're
town
not,
of his
but
daughter, but unfortunately, she disappeared and he is desperately searching to find her. Sybil apologizes
oh
as she
dang, where's
hasn't
that
seen a
cliff?
little girl with short black hair who just turned 7 last month, as she herself also recently stumbled upon the town mysteriously and is seeking out answers for the strange disappearances of the town's residents. Distraught, Harry decides to leave Cafe 522 to search for Cheryl once again. Before leaving, Sybil urges Harry to provide himself with safety, as she deems the town dangerous given the monsters roaming around. She gives Harry her handgun and informs him to use it only when necessary for self-defense and know who he is shooting. After Sybil leaves, Harry soon follows. However, before leaving the cafe, Harry hears a radio emitting a loud sound. Upon picking up the radio, the air screamer bursts into the window, forcing Harry to kill the monster. Bearing similarities to that of a flying reptile with pale, leathery skin, the air screamer is derived from its high-pitched screaming when spotting its prey and attacking its victim from the air. Due to its agility, the air screamer is usually seen mobile when airborne, rarely seen walking on land, and instead using its mobility to bite or slash at Harry. When it comes to combat, usually a firearm would suffice as it allows distance from having to get close to the monster, allowing for space to avoid damage. If a firearm is out of the question, then retreating is the next best option. Running in a zigzag
Oh, that's
motion
kinda
and then dodging at the last second from the attack will help mitigate the chance of being damaged. The air screamer is one of the many manifestations derived from 𝑓𝑟𝑒𝑟's subconscious, more specifically, her inner fears, dark thoughts, and traumatic experiences, received in her
crazy.
upbringing by various factors throughout her childhood. An illustration from one of 𝑓𝑟𝑒's favorite books titled The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle served as
Is that a real
inspiration
book?
for the creation of the air screamer. The novel sees an expedition to a plateau based in the Amazons of South America, where prehistoric animals somehow survived. It is presumed that the pteranodon caught 𝑓𝑟𝑒's attention and was used to distort and manifest dark imagery of that creature. After the encounter with the air screamer, Harry steps outside of the cafe to resume his search for Cheryl in the alleyway he was previously in. As Harry backtracks to the alleyway, he encounters another set of monsters guarding the gate before entering the alley, called the Groaners. The Groaner is a manifestation that is derived from 𝑓𝑟𝑒's fear and strong dislike of dogs. This monster is a very large, hairless, and decayed-like dog that has brown skin and sharp, bloody teeth. The Groaner is one of the more common enemies in-game that are seen roaming the outside streets of Silent Hill. They are highly sensitive to sound and react immediately to the sounds of gunfire or running that is nearby. If alerted, the Groaner will attack Harry immediately by sprinting towards him to jump and bite viciously. When encountering the Groaner, it's best to use firearms from a safe distance, as when up close, they will circle around Harry and overwhelm him. Melee combat is an option.
Sorry! Hello! Welcome on in. Grab a seat, grab a tea, get comfy. Hello, how are you? Rhea! Welcome in. Rhea sent me, oh my gosh, 2 big cuties just ran up in my room. Thank you so much for following. Welcome on in. Grab a seat, grab a tea, get comfy. Hi if you're new here. My name is Yuki Boobuki, princess of all things spooky and uki, but the only thing scary about me is how much I know about Silent Hill. Grab a seat, grab a tea, get extra comfy. I'm a 9-tailed ghost, Kitsune Shrine Maiden, everyone's favorite big sister fox. I am a retro streamer who loves RPGs, JRPGs, and the spookiest, ookiest games, and the best trophy hunter around. How are you all doing? What were you all playing? God bless you guys, and thank you so much for being here. And be sure that you go take care of yourself. Enjoy. Have good food, Rhea. And thank you so much for the follow, and thank you for the raid. We're watching a Silent Hill 1 lore video, and we will be playing at Silent Hill F. I'm going to say shortly, but it's not shortly at all, because somehow I managed to turn a 1 hour video into, like, 30 minutes so far. We're only 10 minutes in. Which is funny. But hey, that means that I'm flexing real good at yapping.
However, due to the agility of the Groner, it could be difficult to land a melee hit. If combat
Extended
isn't
edition,
an option,
yes.
then typically running away is the second best choice,
And also, hi
dodging to the
Hex, I
side
saw you
as the
come in as
Groner
well.
will sprint and lunge to bite Harry. Once inside the alleyway, Harry stumbles upon Cheryl's belongings. He finds a torn out notepaper that says "to school," referring to Midwich Elementary School. Cheryl's sketchbook shows a crude and innocent drawing depicting Harry that Cheryl drew. With this information, Harry must cut through one of the houses on 11th Street, due to the surrounding roads ominously destroyed. Once inside the house, Harry finds a note that requires the Eclipse keys to open the back door to the backyard.
It's nice to see ya.
Upon finding these 3 keys in their respective locations, Harry returns to unlock the door with the newly required Eclipse keys to progress to Midwich Elementary School. Once in the backyard, Harry stumbles upon another shift to the other world, where the day abruptly turns into night. Venturing into the darkness of the streets of Silent Hill, Harry finally reaches Midwich Elementary School. Once inside the school, Harry must head to the lab equipment room to acquire the chemical item to use on the hand statue to acquire the golden medallion.
I like
then
how
subsequently reach the music room
much
to
he
solve a
chopped
piano
off.
puzzle to acquire the silver medallion. With the
Because,
golden
like, you
silver
don't know that you
medallion,
need to do this, you
Harry
have to
must
figure it
insert
out.
them into the clock tower located in the courtyard. Before entering the door of the clock tower, he must finally turn on the
thank you so
generator on the
much.
basement
Have a good
floor.
eat.
As Harry cautiously
y'all
roams
make
the
me hungry.
dark-filled hallways and classrooms in the school, he will encounter a previously seen monster known as the Grey Child. These monsters are small in size, with childlike features and pale green skin that wield the knife as its weapon. Although they may appear not as threatening due to their small stature, they are not a force to be reckoned with, as they can easily latch and grab onto Harry, stunning him in the process as he forces himself free, which leaves him vulnerable and susceptible to damage. While vulnerable, Harry can easily be attacked by a nearby Grey Child that will deal damage with its knife as he is held hostage. The Grey Child walks throughout the halls of the first and second floors of the elementary school that are seen typically in large groups, which can be difficult to roam and navigate around them. When dealing with the Grey Child, it's best to either use a firearm while simultaneously walking backwards to avoid being grabbed by the Grey Child, or turning out the flashlight and walking slowly to avoid making loud noises to not alert the monster. The Grey Child is a manifestation of Alessa's classmates, seeing as these monsters appear heavily in Midwich Elementary, with a small, childlike appearance and behavior. Alessa's relationship with her classmates was strained, as they bullied her due to rumors of Alessa's mother, Dahlia Gillespie, a local and known figure who was the leader and priestess of the cult,
your mom
the
at that
Order.
point. She's
The
scary.
children spread rumors that Alessa was the child born from a mother who practiced witchcraft, associating these ritualistic practices with Alessa, resulting in Alessa being targeted as a victim by her classmates. The Grey Child is a distorted, disturbed, and dark perspective of how Alessa views her classmates due to their constant bullying of her, which is made evident on her desk with scribblings that say, "Go home," or "Drop dead." In combat, when Harry is grabbed and vulnerable to the Grey Child, they audibly laugh with other Grey children close by, slashing him with their knife. This is symbolic of Alessa's bullying, as her classmates would laugh as they physically assaulted her, with the knife representing their violent tendencies. A similar monster variant called a larval stalker is also seen roaming the hallways of Midwich Elementary School. However, these monsters are not what they seem, as they do little to no harm towards Harry, as they are unique for their non-aggressive and passive behavior. Rather, they are seen as translucent beings that take the form of a childlike body and behavior as they laugh or trip over themselves. The larval stalker is likely another manifestation similar to the Grey Child in how they have a demeanor that results in them laughing without the use of excessive violence at the expense of their victim.
It's the Watchers.
The laughing could reflect Alessa's verbal abuse from her fellow classmates who made fun of her by labeling her as a witch. The translucent quality of the larval stalker could be a projection of Alessa feeling invisible and unseen by others who witnessed the abuse, yet did nothing to stop it from happening. After passing through the clock tower, Harry finds himself in the other world, Midwich Elementary School. Once here, Harry must find a rubber ball and a picture card. With the picture card, Harry unlocks a door to the north hallway on the first floor. On the second floor, Harry opens a locker in the locker room to find the library reserve key. Afterward, Harry must access the rooftop of the school to place the rubber ball into a storm drain to allow water to flush out the classroom key. Once acquired, Harry uses the classroom key
Which
to then
is so
access the
much
basement floor.
running. He
In the
skipped all
basement,
that
Harry solves a
for
turnstile valve
streamline, but
puzzle
it's
to
so
then
much
enter an
running.
elevator to fight the first boss. Harry finds himself in a dark, industrial-like arena with a burning corpse in the middle set on fire. Shortly after, a massive lizard-like monster called the Splithead walks slowly towards Harry, commencing the first battle. The monster is large in size, with no noticeable facial features, as much of the face is obscured, seen only with a large, gaping split mouth. While it's slow in movement, it makes up for it in sheer size, as it can easily overpower Harry by headbutting at him, dealing lots of damage. In its second phase, it becomes much more aggressive, opening its large split mouth to bite and consume Harry. If successful, it will immediately kill Harry in one bite if Harry is unable to escape. Dealing damage to the Splithead is best with a firearm, likely the shotgun, a found previously in Otherworld Middle Elementary School. The shotgun can deal lots of damage if you fire directly into the large, split mouth of the monster. The Splithead is implied from a previous memo Harry found in a fairy tale book called The Lizard's Story. The story tells the tale of a hunter armed with a bow and arrow, determined to find the lizard and kill the reptile. Alyssa presumably read this fairy tale book from the school library, imagining the lizard as a monster. Further connecting this to Alyssa is the corpse seen in fire in the industrial-like arena where the Splithead is fought, which serves as visual imagery of the burning she received from her mother after a ritual she was forced into went horribly wrong, resulting in her skin being charred and burned. After defeating the Splithead, Harry exits Midwich Elementary School, returning to the fog world in Old Silent Hill. Harry navigates through the streets to eventually reach the front doorstep of Balkan Church. Inside the church, Harry is formally introduced to Dahlia Gillespie. While appearing mysterious and cryptic in her speech, Dahlia has seemingly good intentions in ending the supernatural and psychological events happening in Silent Hill. However, these intentions are merely a cover-up to coerce Harry into falsely completing a ritual to restrain Alyssa from her using her psychokinesis powers. In reality, Dahlia is the leader and priestess of the cult's The Order, an underground organization that prays and practices under the belief of devoting their time to the creation of God, cleansing the earth to receive paradise. Sometime around the 1900s, the Order was formed when Silent Hill became a tourist town, grooming the town's residents into their cult practices and beliefs. However, the negative backlash received from the town's residents that refused to join the cult resulted in the Order being forced to operate in secret and orchestrate many of the events to transpire throughout the series. Because of the natives' practices that indoctrinated ritualistic performances, such as resurrection, exorcisms, and healing of mortal wounds and diseases, this served as a basis for the cult's practices. Dahlia Gillespie would use her family's background, such as the mining coal company, to excavate native remains and artifacts to use in these rituals. This is supported by her comment to Harry, expecting his appearance, as she puts it, foretold by gyromancy, a method where someone spins or walks around the circumference of a circle drawn on the ground, with letters from the alphabet inscribed around the circumference. The ritual performance is based on the letters where the person stumbles, falls, or lands on. It's intended to create a random or altered state of consciousness to aid in predicting the future. Throughout the years under Dahlia's reign and position under the cult, she would manipulate and influence many of the town's residents into becoming followers of worshipping their god and subjecting her teachings to others in hopes of one day creating a new paradise. This manipulation would sometimes result in drastic measures, where Dahlia would force innocent people who disagreed with her cult's practices, kidnapping or grooming young girls to use them in a sacrificial ritual where they would serve as a surrogate mother, distributing an illegal drug called PTV for its hallucinogenic properties, or running the Wish House Orphanage to teach young kids about the Order's practices, often resulting in child abuse if the children disobeyed or retaliated.
Which is Silent Hill 4, right?
Because Dahlia knows that Harry is desperate to find his daughter Cheryl, she uses this to manipulate and coerce Harry into falsely believing that he is using the Floros to
for the cult, this is the biggest thing, and this is touched on a lot more in Silent Hill 3. Now the bad thing is, though, if we want to watch lore videos, 2 is like unrelated, 2 is its own bubble. If you want to watch lore videos about 2, 3, 4, Bruins, 4 was the apartment, but in one of the areas that you go to in Silent Hill 4, you visit the orphanage where I think the main character was from. I blink at you. How can you not remember every single detail? I'm just kidding. Yes, there is an orphanage in Silent Hill. So Silent Hill 4 does not take place in Silent Hill. It takes place, yes, in the apartment, but you're going through memories of the ghost of the people. And I can't remember. I can't remember. What is the name of the guy from Silent Hill 4? I can't remember his name. The guy. You go through his memories and his childhood and stuff that happens, and you go through Walter's too, I believe. I think they all play like a big part. Harry Mason is the guy from Silent Hill 1. James Sunderland is the guy from Silent Hill 2. Cheryl Mason is Silent Hill 3. What is the name of the man from Silent Hill 4? That's your riddle today. Buddy Guy, I think was his name. I don't think it was Buddy Guy. I will look it up and then we'll all be shocked. Part of me feels like it starts with an M or an E. Ethan is Resident Evil 7 though, so I know it's not that. Silent Hill. It's okay. This is why we're doing this, so you guys learn. Henry. His name is Henry. I would have never guessed that, actually. I'd guess a lot of stuff. Wouldn't have guessed Henry. Henry what? Townsend? His name is Henry Townsend? That's a mouthful. They get an F in the name department. That doesn't even sound like a real name. Townsend. Ironic, though. His name is Townsend, but he's locked in an apartment. Irony. Irony. That's kind of funny. Anyways. Henry and Walter, their stories kind of tie a bit together. So when you're going through all this, not only do you have their stories, but you also have a lot of stories of people from the other apartments. So, gosh, I forgot where I was going with this. We got so sidetracked. Oh, the orphanage thing or whatever. I still lost my train of thought. It's left the station. Back to the video.
And counteract the wrath of the other worlds. While vague, Harry
Hi,
is under
Glitch
the
Fox.
impression that this device will likely serve a purpose in stopping the events of the other world
Yes,
and the monsters
freaky
that
ghost
run amok in
enemies.
Silent Hill.
And your
With
apartment
this in
is like
mind,
haunted and
Dahlia
it
urges
changes
Harry
over
to take
time.
the 𝑓LAROS and head over to 𝑓LAROS Hospital. Left with more questions than answers, Dahlia leaves, resulting in Harry departing shortly after. Harry must then lower a drawbridge from the bridge control room to gain
Silent Hill 2 being the loosest connected game. 1, 3, and 4 are actually pretty connected, and they do try to tie all of the stuff kind of together. And the only really tie from Silent Hill 2 is that it's the same place, and you can find some newspaper articles about Walter being a deranged psychopath and killing people, and about the cult stuff. But Silent Hill 2 is definitely a little less on the cult stuff and a little bit more on James being a deranged psychopath. But all of these stories are kind of intertwined and intertwined, and that's where Silent Hill starts to fall apart, because then you get Homecoming, Downpour, Origins, and if you play those, it destroys any lore ever. Especially Origins rewrites that whole intro that you just said about. Did they say I was cute? At least. Oh gosh. Didn't even think about it. Oh no. Wait. Did they say I was cute though? I'm just kidding. Hello, Ryan's boss. When you have it in picture mode, he literally it's just me probably sitting. Honestly, you're so lucky that the audio was on because I am talking about like the most unhinged thing ever to chat. I am. I am being like a deranged psychopath in the corner. Volume on, in public never. The things that come out of Yuki's mouth is scary. Yeah, hi honey. Hi honey.
Access to the town district called Central Silent Hill. Before reaching 𝑓𝑟𝑟𝑟 Hospital, Harry runs into the next monster, called a romper. This monster is ape-like in its behavior, and also in its attacks towards Harry. It's easily sensitive to loud noises, such as running or gunfire, resulting in the romper skipping in a running-like motion to jump and topple Harry. Using either the handgun or shotgun would prove to be effective in dealing damage from a safe distance while backpedaling, as trying to melee the romper
I'm sorry, did
could
you
be
just kick
difficult,
him once? No, you're supposed to kick him like 15 times.
If all else fails, running and avoiding the enemy altogether is a safe option.
I think he said romper,
However,
yeah.
the romper can still run towards Harry and even pounce on him from behind to deal damage.
Yay.
The romper is a manifestation that is derived from a lesser sphere of adults,
We need closed captioning.
likely due to her mother Dahlia and other cult members overpowering her and forcing her into their cult's practices and teachings that she grew to despise and hate over the years, creating not only resentment but also fear and negative thoughts towards adults
I would hate it too
due to their power and authority over her. While exploring the streets of Central
Silent Hill,
because
as he said earlier, their practices are her mom's like, you gonna get pregnant, you gonna give birth to the new god thingy, and then we light you on fire. I too also would be like, I don't actually know about all that jazz. There, that's crazy, Mom. That's a little crazy, cause I'm like, I think he said teenager. I think he said she was a teenager, but still, if you're like 13, 14, 15, that's a little crazy. That's a little bit much.
He finally finds 𝑓𝑟𝑟𝑟 Hospital. Once inside, Harry opens the door to the examination room to find Michael Kaufman, the director of 𝑓𝑟𝑟𝑟 Hospital. Upon this exchange, Harry is greeted with Kaufman aiming his revolver at Harry and proceeds to fire, barely missing him. Harry quickly addresses that he is not one of the monsters and is human. Hoping to find answers, Harry questions Kaufman if he knows anything about the town of Silent Hill's supernatural and psychological events. Kaufman recounts that he woke up recently from a nap in the hospital to find no one around and had mysteriously disappeared. Harry asks Kaufman if he has seen a little girl who looks like his daughter.
I get to go to Starbucks.
Kaufman states he hasn't seen a little girl and how he thought she could still be alive. While another victim
I'm sorry, you can't just say, like, I'm gonna be impregnated and burned at the stake, but I get to go to Starbucks after, right? Can just like, I'll just walk it off. Walk it off, champ. You're good. Can't just... Honestly, after that, I need a happy meal, okay? A lot more than just Starbucks drink. I need a happy meal, okay?
A supernatural phenomenon that arose in Silent Hill, Kaufman isn't what he appears to be, as much of his role is integral to the events to follow. While he is the director of 𝑓𝑟𝑟𝑟 Hospital, who worked amongst the medical staff, in reality, Kaufman worked closely as a business partner and associate to Dahlia Gillespie and the Order. While working secretly under the Order, Kaufman used his position as the director of 𝑓𝑟𝑟𝑟 Hospital to coerce illegal drug trafficking amongst residents in Silent Hill by distributing a drug called PTV, a hallucinogenic drug that took properties from the plant White Claudia. With this underground operation at hand, Kaufman was tasked by Dahlia to legally elicit and distribute PTV onto the black market to sell to tourists. In doing so, Kaufman would have a business partner named Norman Young. Their intentions were profiting and, in exchange, they carried out illegal medical dealings such as forging autopsies and patients' medical records to divert pharmaceutical attention to the drug they were selling. However, this illegal drug trafficking would get the attention of the local authorities from the Silent Hill Police Department
we're gonna watch a Silent Hill lore
video
and then we're gonna play Silent Hill
investigation into their illegal operations. However, this investigation wouldn't last long, as the Order would murder the mayor and one of the police officers to prevent further investigation into Kaufman and the Order's drug trafficking. Years later, the Order would be secretly nourishing the embryonic god and foreseeing the imminent birth of the god, which resulted in Dahlia betraying Kaufman as she didn't need further use of him anymore, resulting in Kaufman seeking revenge for her betrayal. While exploring 𝑎𝑟kham Hospital, Harry finds a red liquid in the director's office. This red liquid is known as a 𝑓𝑔𝑙𝑎𝑝idus. According to the Kabbalah,
What
the
the
name
heck
is
is
taken
that?
from a herb grown in the Arabian desert, granting the power to dispel demonic forces and grant supernatural immunity to those possessing the item. A 𝑎𝑟kh𝑙𝑎𝑝idus is deeply rooted to the Paeonia, a European flowering plant found in the mountains of southern Europe. Paeonia was a herb used for medicinal purposes. The Greek doctor, Dioscorides, named a 𝑎𝑟kh𝑙𝑎𝑝idus as a member of the Paeoni family and speculated that a 𝑎𝑟kh𝑙𝑎𝑝idus serves as the main source. After turning on the generator in the basement, Harry enters the elevator to the second floor, only to be met with the otherworld 𝑎𝑟kh𝑚 Hospital. While roaming through the industrial, rusted, decayed hallways, Harry encounters two monsters called the Puppet Nurse and Puppet Doctor. These monsters take the form of a human appearance that is possessed by a parasite on their back, which manipulates their movements by assuming control over their body. Both the Puppet Nurse and Puppet Doctor function relatively the same when it comes to their behavior. They both make loud, audible grunts or moans when roaming idly
I can't
or
wait
when
to play Resident
alerted
Evil,
by
by the
Harry's
way, because of
presence. The weapon of choice is a knife
drama
seen
between
equipped
the
in their hand,
Zamboas.
in which they will attack Harry by slashing at him or by having another Puppet Nurse or Puppet Doctor grapple him while the other attacks him simultaneously. The only minor difference in their gameplay is their strength and movement. Puppet Doctors are typically slower in their movement, yet stronger with their damage, while Puppet Nurses are faster in their movement, yet weaker in their attacks, dealing less damage. The Puppet Nurse and Puppet Doctor are symbolic of the corruption 𝑎𝑟kh𝑚 Hospital was subjected to.
Hi, I'm doing
Under
good. How
Michael
are
Kaufman's
you?
position of distributing the illegal drug, PTV, or forging medical records or autopsies. This could also be a projection of Leslie's hatred and distaste for doctors, as she was held captive in the basement of 𝑎𝑟kh𝑚 Hospital for 7 years against her will.
7
Eventually,
years.
Harry must find 4 plates to solve the plate puzzle. This will be the plate of turtle, the plate of cat, the plate of queen, and the plate of hatter. When reaching room 204, Harry encounters a bloodsucker, a monster that comprises 3 leeches with octopus-like tentacles, hungry for sucking on blood. The bloodsucker guards the plate of hatter. To accomplish this, Harry must find a blood pack to distract the bloodsucker from killing him, as if Harry gets too close, the bloodsucker will capture him and kill him. The bloodsucker
Howlin'
is the
Alice
only
in
monster in the
Wonderland.
game, with the exception of the larval stalker, that Harry cannot kill with physical force, such as
I
melee
think
or
that was a
firearms.
story.
The
I'm not
bloodsucker
sure
is said
though.
to be derived from less strong aversion to leeches or snakes, similar to her dislike of specific insects. Once all 4
Big
plates have been
slurpa.
acquired, Harry inserts them and solves the plate puzzle to progress forward into the otherworld 𝑎𝑟kh𝑚 Hospital. By using disinfectant alcohol and a lighter, Harry combines these items to burn the vines blocking the hatch.
Yeah!
Once Harry enters, he finds a room with a hospital bed and a photo of Alessa Gillespie. With the examination key, Harry enters the medicine room where he meets Lisa Garland. Lisa
Can I
Garland's
ask you
backstory is rather
something?
tragic.
Wait, oh gosh. Last time someone asked me something, it was not good. But yes, you can. Last time someone did that, it went very south. That's the scariest thing. That's like the scariest sentence you could put in a Twitch chat. I wait for your reply. At least it's not from YouTube chat. It doesn't make it any less scary. Yeah, it doesn't make it any less scary. Oh gosh. Yeah, I hope it's such. That's where I immediately check. Nah, yeah, YouTube's are so bad. I sure hope it's a chill question too. My heart rate just skyrocket. That's scarier than the scary video we're watching. I too have a question. What's up, Ninny? At least you followed yours with a smiley face. That gives me hope. At least you followed yours with a happy face. I read the Bible in Polish and in different languages. Yeah. That's kind of cool. Ooh, I want to ask a question. We can all ask a question. That's kind of cool. I see a lot of people do that, actually. There's this lady that I watch on YouTube that talks about the Bible, and she's read the Bible in every language. And I think that that's really neat and also very dedicated. And I think that's really cool. No, don't hit him with the "we need to talk." No, chat was all trying to make me laugh by saying that they have a question too. Nene! I will write that down. I will get on Minecraft tonight and I will do that.
Me? Gungaga.
Sergeant Newman joined the shrine, Tilda.
You are a mod, so you should have access to that channel already, but I'll give you the role just in case it doesn't work. Ooh. If I can find you. My leg hurt very bad. Oof. Roll Minecraft. Okay, I'm making myself a little note. Also, thank you for the follow. Paste. I will pasted that down. Okay, boop, 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 boop. Alright. Yeah, accurate translation work is still important. Yes, it is. Yeah, what's the question? You said I had a question, and then you made a comment, I did see that, about the reading the Bible in different languages. And now you are Christian, congratulations. Good for you. Praying very hard. Yeah, it was a question. Now the curiosity has set in. I have only read the Bible in English, so if it was a question about other translations, I will say I'm sorry. I have actually only read the Bible in English. And I'm currently working on my second read-through. Finished it once, gotta just start again. Do it again. And also, you missed it. At the start of stream, and probably for a few streams this week till I get caught up, I'll have to see how many weeks I missed. I have a prayer journal that I was reading through where I read the Bible verse for the week. Yeah, a long time ago. Hi, Dr. Dreads. Welcome on in. So, and we will pray and read another Bible verse at the end of stream. But yeah, I'm trying to incorporate a lot of stuff in here. Also, Runes, what was your question? And I don't know if any Ryan, if you get on the Minecraft server, will you let me know and maybe you can whitelist Nini? What version? So I hope that I don't get roasted. I read the Bible in the New International Translation. I do want to read it in King James because I know that people will say that one is probably more accurate, but the New International Version is a lot easier to read and process in my brain. But I was going to buy a King James Version women's study book. And Runes, I didn't know that you had an obsession with feet, but I will have you know that yes, I did wash my toes. Actually, I have to soak my feetsies in foot baths for my foot injuries, so my toes get washed often. If you must know, my toes get washed quite often. But I can't believe you would say that today on this day. Jeez. Worried about my toes. I have to soak my foot in hot water to try and get my muscle to quit freaking out. Today I am writing while reading the Bible in German. Ah, fun. Guys, Rooms is worried about my feet. My feet. It's one of 2 books he wrote that were very important during his ruling. That's crazy. Okay. I am making a note for next time that I'm gonna have to, yeah, recently pedicured too. Ryan took me to go get my nails done. There's a book about healthy sports for English while not working. Yeah, there's a doomsday book, healthy sports. Doomsday book. Wait, that's 2 very different answers. I don't know that one. Doomsday's scary. The Doomsday book was from King William. Oh. Wait, that's scary. Tomorrow when we do this, I will pick a shorter video, but for the 12-hour stream, we can pick a long video. I do need to use the little fox lady's room, so I will be back. God bless you guys, and thank you for being here. Thank you for the mild heart attack, but I'm glad that we all had lighthearted and fun. Enjoy the German Bible. I hope it is a good read. Easy read. I will be RB. Wait, it's a big census of the English to know how to tax everyone properly. Boo taxes, am I right? Quit taxing me. Again.
As she lived and grew up in the town of Silent Hill. In her youth, she attended Midwich Elementary School, and in her late teenage years, aspired to be an actress as she developed a fond love for theaters, especially plays and movies. However, these ambitions were met with no avail as her family disapproved of her goals and instead pressured her into becoming a nurse, much like her mother and grandmother before her. This led to her eventual occupation of becoming a trainee nurse who worked under Michael Kaufman. Because of Kaufman's illicit distribution of illegal drugs under the order, he would pressure Lisa into taking the illegal narcotic PTV. Because of the long-term abuse, Lisa unfortunately gained an addiction to the drug. Kaufman used this to blackmail her into keeping Lisa alive with continuous medical attention. In performing this task, Kaufman would supply Lisa's addiction and wouldn't reveal her illegal drug use to the public. Over the span of 7 years of watching Alessa under her care, Lisa would become more mentally and physically unwell as the toll of drug abuse, blackmail, and caring for Alessa made her deteriorate over time. The side effects of the drug she took over the years resulted in hallucinations and becoming more unstable, as she would see illusions of insects invading her personal space or the water faucet pouring out bodily fluids. Around this time, Lisa Garland's boyfriend, Matthew, visited Silent Hill in an attempt to save her, as he became worried about Lisa's mental and physical health deteriorating. However, this would prove to be difficult as Dahlia would successfully have Alessa's other half of her soul, Cheryl Mason, fuse back with her original self and become whole again. Once the town shifted into the nightmare state it was in, Matthew's attempts to save Lisa proved to be futile, as he would be killed by Valtiel, an angel who was a servant of the Order's god and protector of the fetus, ensuring it would be born. With rage consuming her after witnessing the death of her boyfriend, Lisa's attempts to strangle and kill Valtiel was no avail, as Valtiel would murder her as a result, leaving Lisa to become a lost spirit roaming aimlessly in the other world. Upon meeting a frightened Lisa Garland, Harry introduces himself and Lisa pleads to Harry in hopes of finding answers to what is happening to the town of Silent Hill. Much to her dismay, Harry unfortunately doesn't have a clue or idea as to what is happening. Lisa responds to not having her memories intact and doesn't remember how she ended up in the other world, as she was unconscious. Before furthering their conversation, Harry gets an excruciating headache from the siren blaring loudly, resulting in him falling unconscious. Harry then wakes up in the fog world, greeted by Dahlia Gillespie once again. Dahlia talks cryptically about the town being engulfed in darkness, and in order to stop the nightmare, Harry must not allow the Marca Samael to be completed. However, unbeknownst to Harry, Dahlia is once again manipulating him into furthering the ritual and being completed to dispel Alessa of her psychic powers, to make her susceptible to becoming vulnerable and weak. After Dahlia leaves, Harry continues his search in the Green Line antique shop. Once inside, Harry notices a suspicious indentation on the wall behind a cabinet. Curious, Harry pushes the cabinet to reveal a hidden passageway into a tunnel. Soon after, Harry is surprised by Sybil, revealed to still be alive. Harry asks Sybil why she's still in Silent Hill alone, as he recalls her bringing
Sybil.
backup. Sybil states that she couldn't escape as the roads are blocked, cars stopped running, and the phone lines have been all cut off. However, Sybil mentions that she saw Harry's daughter run off to the resort area but couldn't stop her. Harry mentions to Sybil if he knows about a woman named Dahlia Gillespie, but Sybil doesn't seem to know of her. He then mentions the other world, effects that cause the town to be consumed by nightmares, monsters, sirens, and hallucinations. Sybil doesn't indulge Harry's worries as she shrugs them off as Harry being tired. Nevertheless, Harry walks through the tunnel to stumble upon an altar. Upon inspecting the altar, Harry finds white substance known as White Claudia left in the chalice. He concludes that this is the other church Dahlia mentioned previously. Before leaving back into the tunnel, Harry is then transported to the other world, Alchemilla Hospital, with Lisa Garland. Lisa greets Harry by telling him he's having a bad dream. Harry asks Lisa if she knows anything regarding Dahlia Gillespie, to which she recounts her as crazy, but that her daughter died in a fire years ago. Harry then asks if Lisa knows anything about the town being engulfed in darkness. Lisa recalls that before the town became a tourist attraction for tourists. However, some of the residents followed the religion, the order, that practiced occult teachings and performed ritualistic black magic. In practice, this would see the order harboring a surrogate mother to give birth to a god that the followers believed would cleanse the earth of sin and give birth to a new paradise. After this exchange, Harry soon passes out once again, awakening from his sleep to find himself in the other world, Central Silent Hill. With the roads blocked off from furthering his progression to the resort area, Harry has to take a scenic route through the Silent Hill town center. Once inside, Harry finds multiple monitor screens depicting Cheryl Mason pleading to her father to where he is and to save her. While exploring the mall, Harry accidentally walks on a weak platform that collapses, seeing him fall into an arena with the second boss, the Twin Feeler. The monster is a giant moth larva that is derived from Leslie's fascination with collecting insects. The Twin Feeler uses the ground to travel underneath Harry to use as an advantage to surprise him whenever it protrudes from the ground to deal damage by spitting acid.
Gosh, dang it, I got up and got food and I forgot to get water.
It's difficult to use melee combat as much of Harry's attacks will miss due to the hitbox. It's best to use the hunting rifle, which is found close by in the same arena, and use the spare rifle ammo to deal heavy damage against the Twin Feeler. Moving around the arena and not staying in one place would be beneficial for survival and avoid being snuck up on and getting attacked. After a harsh, grueling battle, Harry defeats the Twin Feeler. However, this defeat is short-lived as the Twin Feeler retreats. With an exit provided to leave the Silent Hill town center, Harry travels to the otherworld Central Silent Hill to navigate the linear, nightmarish hellscape to a safer location. In his efforts, Harry encounters a variant of the Air Screamer called the Night Flutter. Much like the Air Screamer, the creature resembles a pteranodon-like monster, with differences that are seen in its appearance when it comes to its head being replaced with a solid mass of worms, and its body appearing more humanoid. Because it is a variant of the Air Screamer, this monster differs in its airspeed and strength, as it is much more ruthless and vicious in nature. The Night Flutter appears more hostile and aggressive towards Harry when pursuing him in flight. If alerted by his presence, the Night Flutter will fly towards his location, diving towards him to slash him. Melee combat is a futile option as it is always in the air and never comes down to ground level. Weapons such as the shotgun, or if necessary for stronger firepower, the hunting rifle, will work just as fine to kill the monster. The Night Flutter is symbolic of Leslie's disgust for worms. This is emphasized in Night Flutter's appearance as it has a mass of worms conjoined into forming a head on the creature that comes off as vile and putrid, aligning with Leslie's perception of insects. The Night Flutter could also be symbolic of Harry's sanity deteriorating, as worms are known to naturally decompose, a metaphor for his thoughts, fears, and worries literally and figuratively devouring him and eating his sanity away. Close by in Central Silent Hill, Harry encounters a variant of the Groaner called Wormhead. Similar to its counterpart, the Wormhead has dog-like features in its appearance, with much more weight compared to the skinny, withered appearance of the Groaner. The head shape amasses worms, conjoined to manipulate that of a worm-like head. Because of the influence of the Otherworld, the monster becomes much more agile in its momentum and stronger in its strength, functioning similarly to the Groaner. The Wormhead will be susceptible to any loud audible sounds, such as Harry running close by or gunshots being fired, resulting in the Wormhead running towards Harry's location to attack
they say
him.
all this stuff,
because
but I ran
sensitive
through
to
this
sound,
area just like
it's best
so
to avoid
fast.
the Wormhead altogether by retreating. However, if necessary, they can be easily disposed of with a shotgun or hunting rifle as long as you're in a safe location. Because of their appearance, manifesting that of a dog in conjunction with worms, it's symbolic of Leslie's hatred and dislike towards dogs and worms. With their combined features, it could be speculated that it's the otherworld's corruption of Alessa's spheres manifesting into a much more powerful force, a metaphor for one's loss of sanity and disillusionment to the horrors overpowering the human psyche. Eventually, Harry finds himself entering 𝑓𝑟𝑒 Hospital once again for safe sanctuary, where he once again finds Lisa Garland hiding in the medicine room. Once they both reconcile knowing they're both alive, Harry asks Lisa for an alternative path to the lake, as the roads to the resort area are blocked off. Lisa remembers that there is a sewer system underground that connects from Old Silent Hill to the resort area. This is met with a worried Lisa, as she's filled with fear and anxiety, not wanting to be left alone. Lisa wants to leave, yet feels compelled to stay at 𝑓𝑟𝑒 Hospital for some unknown reason. Harry reassures Lisa that he'll come back for her as soon as he is done. As Harry leaves 𝑓𝑟𝑒 Hospital, he first has to engage in a battle with the third boss, called the Floatstinger, an evolution of the moth larva previously seen as the twin feeler, now in a mature form that is exaggerated in its size. Much of the Floatstinger gameplay functions with aerial attacks, staying afloat in the air as an advantage over Harry on the surface level. The monster spits acid projectiles from its mouth and uses its stinger to sting Harry. Gunplay is recommended in this boss fight as melee combat is not as effective, especially with short-range melee weapons such as the knife. As always, gun combat is best for the situation, as it will give Harry distance while backpedaling when firing a shotgun or a hunting rifle. However, momentum is key here, as the arena is very claustrophobic and doesn't have lots of ankle room to breathe.
Honestly,
the
this is
Floatstinger
like
is manifested from
the worst
Alessa's
one.
interest in moths. Moths in symbolism often represent transformation, frequently associated with a cycle of life and death. An interpretation of the moth can be derived from Alessa's loss of innocence, a child born into the darkness of the physical and verbal abuse she suffered, yet subjected to being hailed and worshipped as the Mother of God, prophesied to create a world of lights. One could say the transformation of the moth appears harmless and innocent, but as the nightmares and trauma from Alessa's abuse and torture manifested, this innocence becomes corrupted and projects physical forms of these nightmares into reality. After defeating the Floatstinger, Harry is transported back to the fog world in central Silent Hill. Harry then backtracks to Old Silent Hill towards the sewers location on Midwich Street to brute force his way into a locked gate and go down a ladder into the sewers. Once Harry arrives in the sewers, Harry encounters the Creepers. The Creepers don't pose much of a threat as they're easily avoidable and don't deal significant damage. Because they are small in size, it may prove to be difficult to attack them with a melee weapon, but easier to fire at with a firearm. Alternatively, Harry can choose to have his light off and avoid them altogether, as it can prove to be tedious rather than difficult due to the reaction to light, which causes them to run away, ensuing a chase to kill them. The Creepers are manifested from Alessa's disgust over cockroaches. While navigating through the liminal underground labyrinth of the sewers, Harry finds the sewer exit key. Shortly after, he encounters the monster called 𝑓𝑟𝑒. This monster bears a resemblance to that of a green reptile, possibly a frog. These monsters have elongated, thin limbs and sharp claws that allow them to traverse around the walls or hang from the ceiling as an advantage when preying on their victim. Furthermore, they appear in either a group of 2 or 3 to surround their prey and make it difficult to escape, overwhelming their victim. Due to their radio not working underground, this can make it difficult to be alerted to the presence of the 𝑓𝑟𝑒, surprising their victim in panic. The monster is also very persistent in the pursuit of its prey, as it will consistently follow Harry when alerted of its presence and will attack until he is dead. It's best to deal with the 𝑓𝑟𝑒 with a strong firearm such as the shotgun or rifle. The hammer makes a great melee weapon if needed to cover crowd control. The 𝑓𝑟𝑒 is manifested from Alessa's dislike for insects, albeit with the exception for moths.
I think that it is really cool, and one thing that I actually really like about Silent Hill is how every monster is like, it's because she doesn't like this, she doesn't like this, she's scared of this or that,
Harry
or
finds
whatever.
himself in the resort area. Upon exploring, Harry's met with the Mumbler, a variant of the Great Child. Interestingly, the Mumbler serves to replace the Great Child in the PAL and Japan versions of Silent Hill 1. As the Great Child underwent many revisions as it was rejected by the PEGI and SETO censorships due to the Great Child resembling that of a child, and the fact they had to kill them in an act of self-defense. As a compromise, Team Silent made the Mumbler for the PAL and Japan versions. The Mumbler appears with reddish-brown skin, short in size, and has long, razor-sharp claws. Its primary attack is using its claws to slash at Harry and to grab onto him so he becomes vulnerable to other surrounding Mumblers' attacks. Because they function similarly to the Great Child, using a firearm while simultaneously backpedaling or turning off the flashlight to avoid them proves to be the viable option. The Mumbler is likely a manifestation derived from the dark fairy tales that Alessa read in her time at Midwich Elementary School. When visiting Annie's bar, he finds Kaufman attacked by the Mumbler. With quick thinking, Harry uses his handgun to fire at the Mumbler, killing the monster and saving Kaufman. With the situation handled, Harry and Kaufman catch up a bit before Kaufman states he has other important business matters to attend to,
Yeah, I got
leaving
drugs
Harry
to
to
sell.
himself. Before leaving, Harry notices Kaufman dropped a key and a receipt with the number 0473 labeled in red. With this in mind, Harry heads over to Indian Runner, where he inputs the numbers 0473 into the keypad, granting him access. Once inside, Harry then uses the safe key on the locker safe, finding drugs, specifically PTV. This alludes to the illegal drug trafficking that Kaufman and his business associate Norman Young participated in. Upon further inspection, there are notes left by Norman himself that give a bit of insight into his thoughts and feelings, which shows him having a moral conscience and reflecting on the illicit distribution of these PTV
How long
drugs
is
on the
stream
black
until you
market.
keep?
To the extent where he
7
even thought about
here,
leaving
and then
town,
at
as he doesn't
7:30
want to
we're moving to
participate in this
YouTube.
illegal operation, but is scared of what will happen to him. After Harry finds a code on the wall labeled 0886, he proceeds to Norman's motel to find a series of items, which eventually leads him to a garage where he finds a vial inside a motorcycle gas tank. As if on cue, Kaufman
Which,
arrives with
lesson
anger when he
learned
sees Harry holding the vial, which contains
on
a
this
𝓟ᓟ𝓟. This
tester
exchange
run.
results in Kaufman projecting his anger with hostility,
I will pick a
threatening
much
Harry if
shorter
he wants to
video.
die here,
I was
and
like, I
telling
could
him
totally
to
watch
keep
a
out of other
video in an
people's
hour.
business. After completing
No,
the side
I
quest,
yapped
Harry
more.
proceeds across the bridge to Lakeside Amusement Park. However, once Harry crosses over the bridge, there's another loud siren indicating a shift to the other world. Once
Glad I
gaining
didn't pick one of
composure,
the
Harry makes
videos
his
that
way to
was like
Lakeside
2 or
Pier,
3 hours
entering a
long and
boat
be
where
like,
he
we'll do
abruptly
half the
meets
stream as
Sybil once
videos
again.
and half this.
Sybil demands an answer for the psychological
I'm
events
crazy.
taking place in the town, which results in Harry theorizing that Alyssa's delusions and fears manifest into a nightmarish reality. Sybil, still in disbelief and not completely believing Harry, is interrupted by Dahlia's unexpected
Yeah, I
appearance.
react too much.
Dahlia once again talks cryptically, foretelling the events to come of a demon who corrupted and possessed Alyssa, manipulating her into casting darkness and corruption onto reality. Dahlia pleads with Harry to stop Alyssa's plan by using the
But she's
Flauros,
lying.
preventing her from using the mark of Samael to cast Annihilation. With this information, Harry quickly runs to the lighthouse, finding the mark of Samael inscribed onto the platform, and Alyssa waiting for Harry. However, before Harry uses the Flauros, Alyssa's astral projection disappears. Harry then recuperates at the boat, predicting that Alyssa should be heading to Lakeside Amusement Park. Without a moment to lose, Harry proceeds to yet another manhole, leading down into the sewers underneath the resort area. Once inside the sewers, Harry once again has to navigate the linear labyrinth of tunnels to exit the other side of the sewer system. Harry finds himself in Otherworld Lakeside Amusement Park, where much of the amusement park itself is decayed in a metal industrial-like quality, with surrounding attractions rotten and abandoned. Shortly after, Harry stumbles upon a carousel with an infected Sybil Bennett that has been possessed by a parasite. With Sybil corrupted, she uses her handgun to fire at Harry in an effort to kill him. Forced to defend himself, Harry's presumably left with no other option other than to kill Sybil. However, if Harry collected the red liquid previously seen at Alchemilla Hospital, he can use this as his insurance policy, as the red liquid itself is a 𝓟ᓟ𝓟. With the red liquid in hand, Harry throws the 𝓟ᓟ𝓟 at Sybil, dispelling the parasite and ultimately crushing it with his foot. When checking on Sybil,
step on
Sybil
it.
asks Harry
Do
why
the
the cult wants his
stanky leg.
daughter. Harry himself doesn't know why exactly, but reveals that Cheryl isn't his biological daughter. Rather, Harry and his late wife 7 years ago found a baby alone on the side of the road. Not knowing who this baby could belong to and presumed abandoned, Harry and Jody adopt Cheryl as their daughter. Regardless, Harry's devoted to saving his daughter, biological or not, hoping to end this nightmare once and
let's
for
do
all.
this baby.
Afterward, Harry confronts Alyssa. Trying to be reasonable, Harry urges Alyssa to release Cheryl and to let them go. Alyssa ignores his comment and retaliates by using her psychokinesis powers to push Harry away, hurting him in the process. Unbeknownst to Harry, the Flauros awakens, directly affecting Alyssa as its power weakens her. With Alyssa now incapacitated, Dahlia abruptly appears, revealing that she is the mother of Alyssa. Dahlia arrogantly thanks Harry into helping her with her plan, tricking him into stopping Alyssa's attempt from delaying and aborting God's birth. Clueless, Harry demands answers but to no response. Dahlia tells Alyssa that she has one more task that she needs to do for her before the ritual is finalized. For context, before Alessa is captured by her mother, Dahlia falsely claimed to Harry that the Marcus Samael was a ritual that Alessa was orchestrating to cause annihilation on the town and the town's inhabitants as a means of not only putting an end to the cults, but also committing ritualistic suicide. While partially true, Dahlia misleads Harry with the fabrication of Marcus Samael, rather than stating the truth to be still the Metatron. The reason for this is due to not revealing the true intentions from Alessa. Alessa wants to finally put an end to her pain and suffering she experienced with 7 long years of trauma.
Well,
Her
yeah, I
upbringing
mean, she's
saw her
been
subjected to forced religious practices by her mother, bullied by her classmates verbally and physically, and served as a sacrificial offering for a ritual conducted by her mother, resulting in her body becoming burned, immobilizing her to being confined to a hospital bed for 7 years. The Mark of Samael, in reality, is nothing but mere fodder and serves no significance to the order, seen merely as a talisman. The aforementioned seal of Metatron is derived from the Jewish mythology, such as the angel himself, Metatron, standing close to God as a mediator of humanity. As God's scribe, Metatron records all human and divine choices, granting him immense knowledge and wisdom. This knowledge makes him a powerful figure, able to use it for manipulation and control. Samael, depicted as an angel of death, is one of the 7 archangels who serves as the king of all demons, loosely equating to that of Satan in some cultures, such as Jewish mysticism. Interestingly, in the Lost Memories Silent Hill Chronicle, according to Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, the angels Metatron and Samael originally share the same existence, implying that they both serve under the function of the seal of Metatron. While the seal of Metatron is seen as nothing more than a talisman from the Order, it contradicts those claims as Alessa's plan was derived from inscribing 5 seal of Metatron symbols throughout Old Silent Hill, Central Silent Hill, and the resort area. These symbols are inscribed at Midwich Elementary School, Alchemilla Hospital, Green Lion Antique Shop, Lakeside Lighthouse, and finally, Lakeside Amusement Park. Had Alessa become successful in this ritual, she likely would have caused complete annihilation to the town in an attempt to end the cult itself as collateral damage, with her true intentions wanting to end her life to purge the embryo god maturing inside of her, as beforehand she couldn't kill herself due to the ritual Dahlia performed years ago that casted a spell on her that made her susceptible to the forces and power of God, protecting her from harm. Learning of this revelation, Harry is transported to nowhere, an amalgamation of Alessa's nightmares manifested into a physical construct of her memories. These memories of her pain, suffering, and trauma amalgamate into her psyche, collapsing into itself after she's weakened by the Flaros. While here, Harry once again meets Lisa Garland, who tells Harry that she feels like she's been here before, but is still uncertain, now pleading to Harry to help her as she is scared, while mentally breaking down and running off. Harry must navigate this maze-like structure of nowhere, as many of the rooms are nonsensical in its progression, lacking any sense in its direction. Harry finds the key of Uphill, allowing him access to a door which sees him solving the astrology puzzle and acquiring the Stone of Time. After, he then solves the Grim Reaper's list with the correct key code, allowing him to acquire the Amulet of Solomon. After acquiring the Amulet of Solomon, Harry encounters Lisa Garland, ominously waiting in the corner. Lisa comes to the revelation that she was never actually alive. Rather, she's a spirit trapped in the other world, stuck amongst the manifestations derived from Alessa's nightmares.
No, the saddest thing, I'm not ready for the Silent Hill 1 remake, I won't lie.
As blood pours down from her head, crying out to him. Frightened, Harry panics and locks Lisa inside the room, leaving her to herself forever. With the Stone of Time, Harry inserts it into the grandfather clock to access the key of Haggith. Unlocking the double doors to ride the elevator, Harry uses the elevator to access the third floor to solve the light puzzle, which he does successfully, and accesses the birdcage key. Harry then acquires the Crest of Mercury and the Ring of Contracts. With the birdcage key, Harry unlocks the cage to get the key of Peleg. With the key of Peleg, Harry unlocks the kitchen to then use the Ring of Contract on a chain to lock the bloodsucker from killing him. In doing so, Harry acquires the dagger of Malchier. With more progression, Harry finds a bag of jelly beans to tear open, finding the key of Bethor. In a neighboring room down the hall, Harry finds the Unk. Harry must then head to the basement to turn off the generator to safely unscrew a tablet hiding the key of Aratron. With the key of Aratron, Harry acquires the final item needed, called the Disc of Ouroboros. With all the pieces needed, Harry heads back to Alessa's room to insert them into the door to head to the final area to confront Dahlia Gillespie. Before doing so, Harry encounters one of Alessa's memories, where she is seen in a hospital bed after she was burned alive by the ritual her mother conducted. We learn that Dahlia, Kaufman, and 2 unidentified doctors talk amongst each other about proceeding with the plan to see the birth of God. However, due to Alessa's soul being split in half as a result of the failed ritual, the birth of God is left dormant, as the other half of her soul must be combined as one to finish the ritual. Dahlia reassures the others that in due time, the other half of Alessa's soul will come to find her, as Alessa's weakened state can only prolong her pain for so long before she will seek out help by calling out to her other half, that being Cheryl Mason. Before Harry descends down the stairs to confront Dahlia, he sees yet another memory of Alessa's childhood, where we see a desperate Dahlia urging Alessa to lend her power, with Alessa retaliating, only wanting to be with her mother, with Dahlia ignoring Alessa's comment before we see the astral projection of the memory fade away. With much of the story focusing on Alessa, as she is arguably the overall protagonist, seeing as much of the events that transpire are centered around her, It's best to delve into her character when it comes to understanding her backstory and how her upbringing influenced much of the Order's plans to bring about this god to the eventual collapse and corruption of Silent Hill. With no mention of a father, it's implied that Alessa wasn't born through biological means, but rather created through the magical conjuration from a ritual performed by one of the sectors in the cults. This intention was to have Alessa's creation serve the sole purpose of being one of many young girls serving as a surrogate mother who could potentially be a contender in nurturing an embryo of a god in their womb. Because of Alessa's relationship with her mother, who is rumored to be a crazy old religious woman by others in the community, and because of Alessa's supernatural powers, she would become a victim of bullying from other classmates at Menwich Elementary School. The classmates would go as far as scribbling into her desk with such hurtful comments, calling her a witch, go home, or drop dead. To make matters worse, it's implied that Dahlia physically abused Alessa and locked her in the attic whenever she disobeyed her mother when it came to their cult's practices, or partaking in their sermon at church to pray and worship their god. Alessa's teacher, Kay Gordon, took notice of her bullying from the other classmates and speculated that Dahlia would physically beat her. Worried about Alessa, Kay Gordon lodged a complaint regarding Dahlia's treatment towards Alessa. An investigation into the matter by both an unnamed officer and Dr. Michael Kaufman, the director of 𝑓𝑟𝑒 Hospital, resulted in the dismissal of the complaints, with the outcome specifying that no evidence of any mistreatment of the child was found by either the officer or the doctor. When Alessa turned 7 years old, Dahlia's impatience grew and ultimately led her to conduct a ritual on Alessa as she desired to birth the cult's god. In her lust for power, Dahlia was confident enough to use her house as a ground to conduct a ritual to summon the deity, with Alessa serving as the surrogate mother, resulting in her impulsively and ignorantly carrying out the ritual. In doing so, Dahlia commenced the ritual. However, the ritual would go horribly wrong, setting Alessa's body on fire and brutally scarring and burning her skin. This eventually led to the Gillespie house burning down, leaving the general public to believe that Alessa was killed in the fire. In actuality, this would merely be a cover-up, as her body would be administrated to the basement floor of 𝑓𝑟𝑒 Hospital. For the next 7 long years, Alessa would still be kept alive against her will, suffering the immense, excruciating pain of the negative side effects of the ritual that burned her body, seeing her bedridden and taken care of by Lisa Garland. As a last-ditch effort, Alessa split her soul in two and created her other half, Cheryl Mason. Cheryl was Alessa's attempt to provide a happy life that didn't result in pain and suffering for her other half, so that she could live out the life she never had. However, in this pursuit of happiness, Alessa would have to sacrifice herself by having to undergo pain and agony inflicted upon by her mother, as a means to subconsciously call out to Cheryl to go looking for Alessa to return and become whole once again. Once Alessa and Cheryl become whole, this would result in the completion of the ritual. While Dahlia would be successful, as Harry and Cheryl would drive to Silent Hill, unintentionally returning Cheryl to her other half, this didn't deter Alessa from having a contingency plan of her own, which ultimately would see Cheryl return to her and kill herself to finally end her pain and suffering, thwarting her mother's plans and aborting the birth of God. With Alessa and Cheryl now together again, Alessa casts an astral projection of herself, which allows her to unlock psychic abilities such as psychokinesis. Eventually, Alessa's nightmares,
it's kind of crazy to just be like, she just has powers.
Manifest into the town of Silent Hill, becoming consumed by the fog world and the other world, a physical construct produced by the human psyche, stuck between space and time, bordering reality and unreality. Harry finally confronts Dahlia, only to be met with Sybil putting her handgun at her, threatening to open fire if she doesn't comply. Sybil fires her gun, but to no avail, as Dahlia and Alessa are protected due to Alessa's fetus casting protection over the surrogate mother, resulting in Sybil being thrown back by Alessa's psychokinesis. Losing patience, Harry demands an answer as to what is going on and where Cheryl is. Dahlia tells Harry that Cheryl returned to Alessa, making her soul complete as she returned to her former self. Dahlia reveals to Harry that 7 years ago, Alessa was kept alive, suffering from her wounds, in turn, nurturing the fetus from her pain. This was an attempt to expedite the process. Her suffering subconsciously called to Cheryl to return to Alessa, no longer delaying the ritual and instead finishing what she started many years ago. With Alessa's withered body in the wheelchair and her astral projection nearby, this fuses both the god and herself to form the incubator, an idealized interpretation derived from Alessa's mental image of a beautiful, angelic woman resembling that of God, symbolizing Alessa's innocence and purity, dressed in white robes with glowing, bright lights, and appearing as a holy, benevolent deity in nature. Soon after, Dahlia is immediately shot by Kaufman, enraged that Dahlia used and betrayed him. In retaliation, Kaufman reveals a vial of aglaophatis, with the intention of dispelling the demonic entity residing inside the incubator. As Kaufman throws the Aglophidus towards the incubator, this exercises the
And then it
god,
turns into a
revealing
demon
the
man.
incubus, a demonic-like entity that possesses the power of flight and lightning. In demonstrating
Actually,
this
no, that's
power,
like movies.
it ultimately kills
that's
Thalia with its lightning
crazy.
strike. Realizing the god has been revealed in its true form, Harry commences in a final battle with the incubus. Because the god is imperfect, its appearance shows a demon-like creature that is based on the demon Baphomet, an ambiguously gendered entity that possesses qualities of both male and female features, symbolizing the equilibrium of opposites. The image is derived from the French occult writer Eliphas Lévy. According to Lévy, his intention was to symbolize Baphomet with the concept
I
of
have
balance,
Parasite
representing the
Eve,
goal
actually.
of perfect social
I've played
order.
the first one, but I
Because of
haven't
its
played the
occult and
second one.
satanic-like imagery, Baphomet is shunned and frowned upon
I
by
like
Catholic
Parasite. Oh, and I've
Christian
also played the
cultures.
third birthday.
The god has a head of a goat,
And
missing
I really
eyes,
liked
with
it.
2 sharp, demon-like horns protruding out of its head, the feet with hooves, its body resembling that of a malnourished human, with its spine visible and its abdomen rotted away, feathered wings, and its breasts symbolizing the binary features. According to Masahiro Ito, the unintelligible symbols inscribed on both wings are derived from Greek, meaning something. The rest of the words on the body of the incubus have not all been identified, resulting in the words remaining unexplained. The incubus is a collective manifestation derived from the cult itself, worshipping the idolized god in conjunction with the mental image of Alessa's idea of God. The Silent Hill Chronicle,
Grab those
Book of Lost
girlies.
Memories, states that
Dang,
the form
we
of
need
God,
covers.
born to the earth, changes depending on
5
those who
minutes,
summon
I'll
it.
go get my
For
food,
example,
and then we will
the town of
play
Silent
Silent
Hill
Hill
holds
F
the
for a
power to
little bit.
materialize delusions and innermost thoughts from one's subconscious.
Honestly, that was a
God
trip.
is the result of someone's delusions, just like the other creatures. Alessa worshipped and prayed for a god to be seen as holy and pure, which is derived from the incubator. However, once a Aglophidus is used on the incubator, it exercises the god to be seen in its true form, as an incomplete demonic entity manifested from the Order's psyche. The incubus is airborne in its boss fight, remaining stationary as it never once moves from its position during flight. Its primary attack is red lightning strikes that are violently expelled upon from the sky, dealing massive damage, which can kill Harry instantly on harder difficulties. This attack will warrant the use of health items if susceptible to taking damage and failure to evade attacks. The only reliable option in avoiding these attacks is running in a circle once the lightning strikes appear. However, this method of choice is difficult to
Makes it
perform as it's not
exercise.
always consistent. Once the sequence ends, Harry should use the hunting
Eggs
rifle
are
as it has the
sized.
best damage output for
Correct.
this boss fight. After a long, grueling battle, Harry finally defeats the incubus, successfully killing the god as it dissipates and vanishes, reverting back to its previous form as the incubator. As the otherworld starts to collapse, a fading apparition of Alessa gives Harry a newly born baby, a reincarnation of both Alessa's and Cheryl's souls combined into one, warranting a new start for herself in hopes of a normal and healthy life that isn't riddled with pain and
Hey,
suffering.
I know you
While
just like
hesitant,
fought all these
Harry accepts
demons
her
and
offering.
monsters and went
Shortly
through like
after,
mental
Alessa's apparition opens a portal
torment.
to the real world, allowing Harry and Sybil to escape with the baby, leaving this nightmare
But,
finally behind. Nearby,
have another
Kaufman
baby.
realizes the other world is collapsing, and as he panics, he desperately walks towards the portal to
Work in the
escape.
garbage.
However,
Ding,
he is
ding, ding,
overwhelmed by
ding,
Lisa
ding, ding, ding,
Garland,
ding.
seeking revenge for what Kaufman did to her for all those years under the influence of the PTV drug. Lisa presumably kills Kaufman as she drags him into the depths below of the other world. In her final moments, Alessa lies down defeated in the collapsing other world, with fire consuming her, ending her nightmares, and finally, letting her rest in peace. Harry and Sybil escape through the portal to the real world, with Harry holding the baby in his hands tightly, seen running through the foggy streets of Silent Hill. Upon escaping the town, Harry and Sybil are last seen in a cemetery, with Harry comforting the baby as Sybil looks at her warmly, both of them smiling in hopes of a better tomorrow. After the events of Silent Hill 1, it's unknown what happens to Sybil Bennett as it's left ambiguous. However, it can be speculated that
She
she
went back
ends
to
up
work.
leaving Bram's and assumes a new identity for herself. Elsewhere, Harry and Cheryl would end up living seemingly normal lives for the most part, as they moved to Portland in hopes of starting a new life without any recollection or painful memories from Silent Hill. Fate would inevitably catch up to them, as the remaining cult members would hunt them down as a means to recapture the reincarnation of Alessa, seeing the family on the run for many years to follow. 5 years later, a cult member eventually found Harry and Cheryl living in Portland,
Sybil
forcing
suspiciously
Harry
looks like
to kill the cult
Sherry.
member in self-defense. Because of this unforeseen event,
Sybil traded psychological horror monsters for zombies. That's what happened.
Harry takes matters into his own hands and decides to change Cheryl's identity to Heather Mason, dyeing her hair blonde and relocating to a new location entirely. The family would end up living in Daisy Villa apartments in a city far away from Silent Hill. Now older, Harry would give Heather a birthday present on one of her birthdays. This present would be a pendant with a red jewel inside, crystallized with a red liquid. Harry urges Heather to take care of the pendant and to never take it off, as it's very important and will help her when necessary if and when that day comes. This pendant would hold a Glophodus, presumably a contingency that Harry foresaw and wanted to ensure Heather's safety,
Well,
in
that's
case she would
crazy.
ever have to go through the same events once again. Harry would end up raising Heather with the life that she deserved, one filled of joy and happiness. However, nothing lasts forever, but that is the story for another day. Thank you
But
for
that
watching.
is
Please have a great day. Stay safe.
that is a Silent Hill 3 lore video. So that wait. So and Sybil Cherry went on to have a daughter named Fiona that stars in her own horror game. Oh gosh. The claw is too thick. Well, okay, I had a lot of fun. I did learn a lot. This was a test run to see can Yuki do it? And the answer is no. Yuki cannot watch an hour-long video in an hour. And see, look, Silent Hill 2 lore is an hour and 30 minutes. That's impossible.